For those of you who don't know, I've always had a weird relationship with the skill class in general. I find a lot of the champs there are just really weird and not necessarily one of my favorites to use. However, Lumatrix is as far an exception to that as you could possibly get, because I love playing Lumatrix. He is one of my favorite champions in the game, and I've got this pretty nice showcase that you guys are actively watching that I hope will help show why I like him and a lot of his strong suits. So anyway, Lumatrix, he's got a really fun playstyle. I really like the miss mechanic a lot. I used to play Mr. Negative a crap ton. I still like playing Mr. Negative a lot, so the whole heavy charge into evade playstyle is really fun. I got used to it. I'm pretty early on playing Negative and stuff. And he's just got a really nice damage loop. Like, his damage is extremely solid, and the big yellow numbers are obviously amazing to use. So, the goal with Lumatrix is to get to 3 bars of power, and then use this fractured power bar to drop a special 1 into a special 2. And along the way, we want to get at least 3 of those cunning passives. You get the cunning passives when you trigger your evade, and basically, they are going to increase your crit rate and crit damage by a certain amount, and when you're at 8, which we have right there, then you just get guaranteed crits. And with the Black Panther Relic, we're going to be doing extra burst damage on those crits too, which is pretty nice. And he just does a lot of damage, as you could see. Those numbers were really hard hitting for basic attacks, and the special 2 hit very hard as well. So that's a 42-second Captain Marvel fight in Realm Legends, which is pretty cool. But we're going to move on to BGs now, and I think BGs is his target game mode. If I was to try to come up with a game mode where Lumatrix is meant to be the strongest in, I do think it's BGs. He is one of those champions where I will draft him on a limb, not specifically because he counters something really meta, but because he just takes a lot of crap. And in one example of that, we're going to be fighting Photon, because Photon is the big science defender. Science doesn't really have a big defender other than Photon. So if a skill champ can take Photon, they're probably really good at countering the science class, and Lumatrix is no exception to that. So he has a lot of cool counter tools, such as the fact that he has tracking when he triggers his miss. He also is going to get the endurance passives, which are really good for Photon because of the inequity mastery, which is part of what makes Photon so tanky. Because when she just places those debuffs on you, the inequity mastery is going to reduce your attack by a lot. And she's also going to be reducing your block proficiency with her sig ability from those debuffs, and it just gets really annoying when you have those debuffs on you. So the fact that they're falling off 75% faster if you have all those endurance passives is really strong. And as you can see there, we had a pretty good Photon fight. So now we're going to go fight Enchantress. Similar to how the tracking is good for Photon, the tracking is also good for Enchantress if you choose to use it to counter her miss. But in general, Lumatrix is a champ that doesn't gain any buffs outside the Dex Mastery, so that's the only way she's triggering Mystic Dispersion. He's not doing a lot of red numbers that could get caught into her spell damage cap, or damage, I guess, hold. I don't really know what you'd call it. Anyway. And she's also going to make the opponent more aggressive. He's also going to make the opponent more aggressive when he is in his untouchable mode or invisibility mode. So it makes it easier to remove spells that way. And overall, he's just again, really solid for a lot of defenders. He doesn't just hard counter. He just doesn't hard counter a lot of them, which is kind of a good thing. I kind of like these general use BG's attackers rather than ones that are specifically targeted to destroy 1 or 2 defenders. I like both, but I think sometimes this feels better. And Lumatrix, again, is one of my favorite BG's attackers, partially because of that. And then Enchantress goes down. Honestly, that felt like a long fight for that matchup. I feel like I could do that in a lot less time in other matchups, but still, we're going to go fight Kindred now. This one's interesting. I really like the use of the Fractured Power Bar here, because everyone knows that you kind of just want to use, or just save a special attack for when Kindred is going to go into the root phase, and that's how you're going to make sure you don't get the degens on you and such. And with Lumatrix, what we're going to do for this fight instead of going SP1, SP2 is do an SP2 and then hold the SP1 that we're going to have from the Fractured Power Bar until the root is about to happen. Kindred's health pool is also very low, so we don't really need the 2 Furies. We're fine with 1, like we're going to hit hard enough with just 1 still. So if I can get him to drop a special attack here, then we're kind of just getting ready to nuke him, and then he finally does. So I'm going to go for the special 2 here after I trigger the Untouchable, and then I get the Furies. I do a bunch of damage that way, and then I'm going to push him into the root right here. I should have done a medium to finish my combo, and then we take a little bit of degen damage, but not that bad, and then Kindred goes down pretty quickly. So we're going to move on to fight Nick Fury now. This is an interesting one. I'm kind of showing this for a couple reasons. One, because obviously Nick Fury is a tough defender, but 2, how well does Lumatrix do when your evade and miss mechanics are a bit limited? And the answer to that is kind of weird. Like, he's gonna be, like, if you can make the opponents, like, if he can evade, then you're fine. If they counter miss, it's not a big deal. Like, the miss isn't essential. It's kind of the evade. So you really need to find a way where you can get that evade going. And if you can't, like, you're still going to be getting cunning other ways, but it's going to be much harder to do so. As you saw there, my cunning fell off because I can't really trigger an evade. So that's unfortunate. And now I need to get Nick Fury to go down below 5 of his tactical charges again for me to be able to evade again, which I think I'm going to do after 1 combo here. And then once I do that, we're going to have 6 cunning from dropping my special attacks, so it's really not that bad. As you see, I'm going to go for the evade here. And also we're going to carry all this extra attack we're getting from the Furies and such to his second life, which is really good, because obviously Nick Fury purifies and just kind of removes everything when he switches lives. So the fact that all of my damage is on me and not like debuffs on him is pretty important, or passives on him. And then like once he gets into the second life, we're just kind of nuking him down. Like, that wasn't a bad fight at all, honestly. Considering Nick shuts down his evade most of the time, we only needed 1 evade there, and we got like the 6 cunning and still did a crap ton of damage. We weren't getting the guaranteed crits, so it wasn't as consistent, but it was still pretty good. So now we're going to fight Spider-Ham. This is one where it's like, okay, what if we can't really get to the special 2? How well is he going to feel if we're just stacking cunning and dropping special 1s? And a couple of things. Spider-Ham's health pool isn't very low, so take this with a grain of salt. Or his health pool isn't very high, I'm sorry. I'm misspeaking a lot in this video for some reason. But that's okay, because we're still going to get a lot of cunning that's going to make our basics hit relatively hard. And I'm going to get him to throw a special here, and then go for my special 1. And we have 5 cunning now. This is just going to go up and up. We're going to get to 8 and then do the guaranteed crits and stuff. We have the miss there. And then I'm going to counter special. Like, the damage is fine. It's not that bad even without the Furies. I wouldn't advise you to use Lumatrix for matchups where you can't go to a special 2, but the damage is clearly not like the worst thing ever. Those basics are hitting like relatively decent, similar to like Yelena's basic attacks, which are just another example of just pretty decent hitting basic attacks when you combine her red numbers and such. And now we're going to fight Lumatrix himself. Lumatrix himself is actually a pretty decent defender, especially in metas where you can't really parry him. And there's a couple things that make Lumatrix really interesting for this fight. One is Lumatrix makes his own openings, because of the fact that you don't need to parry or intercept with Lumatrix, you get your own openings by charging your heavy, which is a really, really undervalued utility. Because there are many examples where the defender doesn't let you parry them, and then Lumatrix also has evades and miss, and we're going to counter the miss by tracking, of course, which is great as well. But there are just a bunch of defenders where it's like, if you can't parry them, they are a nightmare to deal with, and Lumatrix himself is one of those. And so just the fact that Lumatrix makes his own openings and he doesn't have to stun is making him really strong for that matchup, and as you can see there, that match was really easy for him. And speaking of defenders that you can't really stun very often, let's fight this rank 4 Black Panther here, because as you know, if you do not have a passive stun against Black Panther, you are going to get your stun reflected. And luckily for Lumatrix, his evade stun is a passive. You can't see it here because I'm recording all of these during the stun reflect meta, but of course Black Panther would still be stunned in another meta where he's not like immune to it because of the stun reflect passive. So anyway, Black Panther's also going to get his cleanse, but Lumatrix doesn't place any debuffs. He doesn't get any buffs, which is amazing. I love champs like Lumatrix and Bullseye and Chothra who don't gain buffs or debuffs. It means they just are much more diverse matchup-wise and can take a variety of different nodes that some champs who would gain a bunch of buffs or place a bunch of DS would struggle in. Because trust me, those nodes are everywhere, and those defender matchups are everywhere, where they're going to punish you for gaining buffs or placing debuffs. So Lumatrix just having all passives is super undervalued utility, and it makes him really good for a variety of matchups, such as Black Panther right there. So yeah, pretty fast fight overall. And then we're going to move on to this Titania boss in 9.2 next. So a couple advantages Lumatrix has for this fight. One, it's giving you a node that actively makes you not want to parry unless you can counter miss, which Lumatrix both doesn't want to parry and doesn't have to deal with miss. So that's pretty good for him. Alternatively, there's a node that's going to punish debuff, purify, and cleanse, which Lumatrix doesn't do. He's a skill champ who deals with debuffs differently, in his case, of course, endurance. And then also, there's a node that's going to be placing a Fate Seal on us, but like I mentioned earlier, Lumatrix doesn't care about buffs or debuffs, so the Fate Seal doesn't really matter at all to him. So we're just going to be having to deal with the invert controls mainly for this fight. And I'm just going to drop the special 1 here into the special 2. And now we have our damage loop going, and we just need to keep those Furies up. And Titania is just going to hopefully drop before any of that will be an issue. All my debuffs are falling off really fast, which I don't think really matters for the Titania matchup, but still. And then I could hit her a little bit during her Unstoppable, which was kind of funny there because of the miss. I need her to drop a special 2 here. She's going to eventually do so when she feels like it, especially since I need to get my cunning back, and I think they're all going to fall off because of course she's not dropping her specials. Yep, that tracks. Dude, she spent so much time wasting my time trying to get the special attack off, but it's whatever. Here she's in her Haymaker form, gotta wait that out. And then I need to start stacking up my cunning again, go for another special 1, special 2. And we do have the endurance back, which is pretty great. So I block the special 2 here, and then I'm going to go for my evade, and then I'm going to go for my special 1. And then after the special 1, special 2, and then we're kind of big chilling at this point. Hopefully, as long as she drops specials. She drops a Haymaker, which is fine. I actually get hit by it, so maybe that's less fine. Anyway, she's going to go down pretty quickly, though. Our damage is pretty big at this point. I just need to play aggressive. And here, I'm going to go for heavy so I can get my miss off of cooldown. And then I'm going to drop a special 1 in just a second here, which is going to kill her. And then, yeah, that was definitely sketchier than I remember. I recorded this boss a long time ago, but it was still pretty nice. So, next up, these are a couple Paragon Gauntlet fights. Firstly, Lumatrix is immune to bleed, so the Squirrel Girl stuff isn't going to be a big deal. Also, there's going to be the Arrogance node, which is going to be placing Falter on me. With Lumatrix's tracking, that doesn't matter at all. As you can see, the Falter's on me there, but I can't miss because the tracking that I place when I go invisible, and then I can freely block her special 2 like that, and then the tracking is able to make it to where the Untouchable, another miss mechanic, isn't actually going to matter. And then, of course, special 1, special 2 is going to kill her. She has a very small health pool because this is Paragauntlet. But I'm showing these fights mainly just as utility pieces either way. And then we're going to fight a couple side quest fights next, which is also going to show off utility pieces probably. This one being the not Creamy with your best shot node, but a node similar to it where you are only really doing damage through critical hits. And the fact that Lumatrix's primary damage is critical hits, of course, makes him very, very good for this node. We're even getting precisions from this another node when we trigger the stun immunity, but that doesn't matter at all. So yeah, I'm gonna get hit there somehow, but it's okay. And then I'm just gonna keep doing the heavy attacks. I don't know why I'm playing it this way. I probably don't need to. I can probably just go for my special 1, special 2 at this point. Charge heavy, go for an evade, and then I'm going to drop the special 2 there, which, yeah, I think I'm running a synergy that gives me my unblockable and my 4th light, so that kind of made sense, I guess, that I was going for extra cunning because of that. It's the synergy with Isophene that gives me the unblockable and the 4th light, so you can just skip your special 1 entirely, which is definitely pretty helpful. Now we're going to go fight this Baron Zemo, which is going to have the Calcify and Consistent Combos node, both of which are going to be really good for the Endurance to take control over, because those are debuffs that you definitely want to fall off of you as fast as possible. And for Lumatrix, there's 50% Endurance, and now once I get him to miss again, there's 75% Endurance. So now the debuffs are going to fall off very fast when they are placed on me. Consistent Combos is still one of the most annoying nodes in the game, unfortunately, but it's whatever. And I think the Disorients might actually mess up my evade at one point. I really don't remember. We'll see. Here, I went for a counter, and then I just whiff a relic, I guess. Okay. Am I going to lose my cunning? I'm probably going to lose my cunning. Yeah, alright, that's fine. Anyway, yeah, the Disorient actually failed my evade, which is like, it's literally a 10% chance for defensive ability extra reduction, so like, dude, okay, really? But it's whatever. We're still going to have 6 cunning, we're still going to do a crap ton of damage on my special 2, and then I'm basically going to kill him, like, right there. So, yeah, once we got our stuff going, he just went down very fast. Alright, last up is going to be Necropolis Titania, and I'm not actually going to talk over this whole fight, because it's kind of long and kind of boring, but we're just going to see how well Lumatrix does for long fights, and I wouldn't say he's exceptional for long fights at all. He can get the job done, as you're going to see versus this Titania fight, of course, and he's just got a, very consistent damage loop. Like, I do think he can work for longer fights. I think, like, 1.5 million health pools, he's still going to be very good for, but I wouldn't really take him to Necropolis fights too often. This was just kind of for fun, and just to see if it would work. There are interesting utility pieces for this fight, of course, such as his Endurance for Titania's debuffs. She places weaknesses on you when she places any other debuff, so you want those weaknesses to fall off as fast as possible, which Lumatrix makes pretty easy. As you can see there, I'm just getting a bunch of weaknesses, but they're falling off pretty fast. And that's kind of the whole thing. Like, there's going to be a Tranquilize node when I parry. 1, I don't really try to parry too often, and 2, he doesn't place debuffs for me to really worry about the Tranquilize for, which is another good utility piece, as I mentioned earlier. And that's kind of the whole fight. Like, you're just going to see me do this until she drops, and it's not going to be extremely long. It's not going to be extremely fast either. And again, I wouldn't take him to a lot of long fights, but just the fact that he works is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and call the video here. You guys can watch the rest of the fight out if you want to. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope Showcase Week is going to start out pretty nicely with this video. 6 more showcases this week coming up. And that being said, I'll see you in the next one.